Chapter 41. 41 The Swift Sword, The Shocking Ling Feng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 41 The Swift Sword, The Shocking Ling Feng. Because of his new talent, life absorption, Ling Feng had a bold idea. It seemed that it was not a bad thing for his main body to embark on the path of devouring from today on, right? In that case, it's decided. My main body will embark on the path of devouring. Ling Feng said with a smile, his clone standing by his side. Alright, brothers, the big guy has been taken care of. Let's continue. As soon as he finished speaking, the clones quickly disappeared from their original spots and began to split up to kill. Ling Feng's ears were also constantly ringing with system notifications. At first, the system notification sound was like melodious music, and Ling Feng's mood was very good after listening to it. However, gradually, Ling Feng became a little frustrated. Because he was listening to the beeps, he couldn't calm down to recover his energy, so he had to turn off a part of it, leaving only some necessary beeps. Ling Feng sat in a safe and quiet place, recovering his energy. The rest of the clones also had a clear division of labor. Some went to earn level points, while others took out pens washi to draw ruins maps. A portion of his clones were also responsible for carrying the corpses of the monsters that were tier 2 and above for Ling Feng to use life absorption to improve his own strength. Gradually, it formed a production chain. When Ling Feng's energy recovered enough, he would use life absorption to improve his strength. However, the only thing he didn't have was that the absorption was too slow. After 3 hours, Ling Feng had only absorbed 10 monsters' corpses. This was too slow. Moreover, the conversion rate of these 10 monsters was too low. When they were put together, it only increased his physical strength by 1%. The increase in his mental strength was so small that it was negligible. Only by absorbing the corpses of high-tier monsters would he be satisfied with the extent of his improvement. Otherwise, there was really no need to do so. However, these 3 hours were not without any gains. He had gained at least 1% of his physical strength and proficiency in life absorption. At this time, one of his clones sent him a message. The map of the ruins had been successfully drawn. Ling Feng looked up at the sky. It wasn't too late. He checked the system again and saw that his upgrade points had almost reached 1 million. When he reached 1 million, he could upgrade his talent. Thus, he began to look forward to it. Suddenly, a loud noise from afar attracted Ling Feng's attention. He looked over curiously and asked, "Why are there still people hunting in the old ruins?" After all, other than the mutated rats and cockroaches, all other resources had been plundered. This was both a safe and not too safe place in one. Therefore, if there were no special circumstances, no one would come here. In comparison, the rejuvenated forest was more popular with adventurers. There were foreign races and monsters there. There were also many things there, and medicinal herbs were everywhere. It was not like this place, where rats and cockroaches were everywhere. Thinking of this, Ling Feng rushed towards the place where the sound of battle came from. He was ready to see what was going on. In a short while, they arrived at a street. This was once a bustling commercial street with heavy traffic and a sea of people, but now it was dilapidated. The ground was full of weeds, and the high-rise buildings on the side of the road had collapsed. A lot of rats and cockroaches ran by the side of the road. Ling Feng killed them and earned a few leveling points. After walking for a while, he finally arrived at the edge of the battlefield. Hiding behind a large rock, Ling Feng carefully peeked out half of his head, wanting to see what was going on in front of him. Suddenly, he gasped. It's actually a mountain-back python. Ling Feng had once read about mountain-back pythons in a book. Its body was over 100 meters long, and it had a mountain-shaped horn on its head. Its fangs were extremely sharp, and it could spew out poisonous gas. An adult mountain-back python had the combat strength of a tier 6 beast. The snake in front of him was at least 100 meters long. Therefore, it was definitely an adult mountain-back python. Tier 6 combat strength. Ling Feng did not expect that such a python could exist in the ruins of the old city. Thinking of this, Ling Feng looked to the side. If this snake was already so strong, who would its opponent be? Ling Feng carefully observed the man. He had the appearance of a young man with a frivolous expression. A long sword was at his waist and a wine gourd in his hand. The young man's long hair fluttered in the gentle breeze. Looking at the young man's face, Ling Feng frowned slightly. He had never seen such a young man in the photos of the higher-ups in the fantasy city. The mountain-back python seemed to feel that the young man's actions had provoked it, and it was about to launch an attack. Immediately, the serpent's body underwent a drastic change. That was the snake's attack. However, the young man just stood there indifferently, pretending that he had not seen anything. He took a sip of wine and then tidied his hair. Seeing this scene, Ling Feng was dumbfounded. Is this guy a fool? That mountain-back python is already attacking us, so you should make a move. Otherwise, you can just run away. The mountain-back python's attack was extremely powerful. From Ling Feng's point of view, even if it had the combat power of a tier 7, it would still take all its strength to withstand this attack. It would only have a chance if it were heavily injured. At this moment, the young man seemed to have reacted. He placed his hand on the hilt of his sword and touched it for a moment before taking it away. He took a sip of wine and looked indifferently at the snake that was still attacking him. Ling Feng was dumbfounded. What's going on? You move when you make a move and run when you don't move. What do you mean by touching it? Could it be that he knew that he was no match for her and wanted to die? At this moment, a gust of wind blew past, and the mountain-back python attack stopped. What happened next made Ling Feng's eyes widen in shock. The mountain-back python's body was split into two, and it lay on the ground, dying. Its body was already covered in a pool of blood. Seeing this scene, Ling Feng was so shocked that he was speechless. That young man had only touched the hilt of his sword, and as a result, the snake was split into two. Moreover, it could no longer move, and was in imminent danger. What a fast sword! What kind of battle prowess does this expert have? Ling Feng sighed. It was simply too fast and too powerful. One must know that even a tier 7 combatant would not have been able to withstand the mountain-back python's attack with full confidence. However, the young man in front of him had only used one sword. At this time, the young man placed the wine gourd on his waist and looked at the big stone in front of Ling Feng. His tone was very calm, with a trace of alcohol. Little friend, it's not very polite to peep. Hearing this, Ling Feng's heart skipped a beat. However, he still walked out from behind the rock. Since the young man had already noticed him, there was no way he could escape. Even if he ran away, this young man would catch up to him immediately and kill him. After all, the young man's combat strength could be said to be hidden. Hello, senior. This junior's name is Ling Feng. Your sword strike just now was truly too shocking. This junior can't move his feet for a while. If I've disturbed you, I hope you won't take it to heart, Ling Feng cupped his hands and said. The young man just smiled and waved his hand, glib tongue, you can go now. Ling Feng also heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like this senior was not someone who would kill the innocent. However, when he saw the mountain-back python that was twitching on the ground, a thought suddenly appeared in Ling Feng's mind. Senior, this junior is very envious of senior's happy life. I wonder if senior can let this junior have a taste of killing this beast with my own hands and also have a taste of killing evil spirits like senior. Hearing Ling Feng's words, the young man also looked at Ling Feng. Ling Feng was also extremely nervous at this time. Brat, it doesn't seem to be polite to meet with a clone. The young man's eyes were like a bright moon, and he saw through Ling Feng. Hearing this, Ling Feng was shocked. This was the first time his clone had been seen through. One must know that ordinary people could not see the difference between the clone and the original. From this, it could be seen that the young man in front of him was really an expert. "Senior, my main body is not far away. Should I let my main body come over and kill this evil beast with my own hands?" The young man took a sip of wine out of boredom and said, "Come on." Although the young man's expression did not seem to care, Ling Feng knew that if this young man had any ill intentions towards him, even if he were given 10 minutes to escape, the young man would be able to kill him at the first moment. However, if he could kill this tier 6 mountain-back python, not to mention the crystals that it would drop, just the points alone would save Ling Feng a lot of time in hunting the foreign races. The young man had long sensed Ling Feng's existence. However, because Ling Feng's strength was too weak, he did not take it to heart. However, from Ling Feng's words just now, the young man felt that this kid was a little interesting. If a normal person were to encounter such a situation, they would not even have the time to run away. Who would fight the mountain-back python with their own hands? The young man really couldn't think of a reasonable reason, so he could only think that this kid hated evil as if it was his enemy. After a short while, Ling Feng's original body walked over and bowed to the young man. He then drew his Tang sword and attacked the mountain-back python. The young man placed his hands on his chest and looked at Ling Feng's expression. He took a sip of wine and laughed, "Brat, your blade isn't too good. Also, your strength isn't enough. You want to kill a tier 6 mountain-back python, but you can't even break its defense." At this time, Ling Feng's face also turned red. It was indeed the case. He originally thought that he could pick up a bargain, but in the end, he couldn't even break through his defense. However, Ling Feng didn't believe this and immediately used his ultimate move, one body as one. A Buddha statue of Ming King, tens of meters tall, appeared there. Seeing this, the young man's face was filled with shock. This is interesting. The intellectual sword in Ling Feng's hand ruthlessly slammed downward, and a series of grinding sounds rang out. The intellectual sword in Ling Feng's hand was almost shattered, but it only managed to leave a mark on the scales of the mountain-back python. This defensive power is really too strong. Ling Feng couldn't help but sigh. The young man laughed again. "Kid, this mountain-back python's strongest point is its defense. Even if you have a body fusion technique, your cultivation level is too low. I can definitely do it." Ling Feng would not give up easily. "If you can do it, I'll give you an opportunity." The young man hugged the wine gourd. "Senior, can you hang this mountain-back python for a while? I need to make some preparations." After Ling Feng heard this, he wanted to kill this snake even more. "Alright, it won't die before you return," the young man said indifferently. It had been a long time since he had met a little fellow like this. Furthermore, the young man wanted to see how Ling Feng would be able to break through the mountain-back python's defense. Even though he didn't think Ling Feng could do it. Ling Feng came into contact with his clone and then threw himself into killing monsters. This time, even his main body had entered the battlefield to kill monsters so that he could obtain enough level points faster. "I only need 100,000 upgrade points. As long as I save up 1,000,000 upgrade points, I can upgrade my talent. This is my only chance," he thought. Chapter 42. 42 You Dare Bully My Clone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 42 You Dare Bully My Clone. In the ruins of the old city. Ling Feng shuttled through the broken buildings, the Tang sword in his hand constantly waving. Every time he waved, a monster would be killed by the sword. The ground was littered with the corpses of monsters, most of which were cockroaches and rats. The system's notifications kept ringing in his ears like a DJ as Ling Feng began to kill the monsters. His level points continued to increase, and he was getting closer and closer to the 1,000,000 mark. Soon, the sky darkened, and the moon rose. Night had come. More and more monsters were crying out. Ling Feng understood that the monsters that were sleeping during the day were beginning to wake up. This was also why adventurers had to return to the city before night fell. Some extremely terrifying monsters would start hunting at night. This was also to protect the safety of some adventurers, which was why there was such a rule. In addition, the vision of adventurers at night would be somewhat obstructed. For the sake of safety, most adventurers would return to the fantasy city before night fell. Ling Feng swung his blade to kill a rat monster. Suddenly, he felt that something was wrong behind him. Immediately, Ling Feng's hair stood on end. He quickly rushed forward a few steps and turned around to look. Phew! The sound of heavy breathing could be heard as hot air rushed toward Ling Feng and his face began to turn serious. This was a beast. Number One's reaction was the fastest. He quickly rushed in front of Ling Feng and held the Tang Dao horizontally in front of him so that he could attack at any time. Ling Feng didn't choose to rush up to attack but instead took a few steps back. At this time, Ling Feng finally saw the appearance of the beast, which looked like a saber-toothed tiger. It had a huge body and two huge fangs on both sides of its mouth. Its eyes were red, and its body was roughly 10 meters long and 3 meters tall. Check the monster's information. 5 upgrade points will be consumed. Do you want to check? Yes. Twin-toothed wind tiger, combat strength. Late-stage tier 3, skills. Storm, speed, perception, tiger pounce, tiger roar, description. Extremely fast, but not as strong as you. Its teeth have the power to break spells. Not a bad refining material. Seeing so much information, Ling Feng was a little suspicious. Under normal circumstances, there was no way that so much information could be given to him at once. Because the beasts are too weak. The system's voice sounded again. Only then did Ling Feng realize. After that, the monster started moving. A few whirlwinds suddenly appeared under its feet. The speed of the twin-toothed wind tiger also increased. Every time it moved, it brought with it a gust of wind. Number One stood there and observed carefully. In fact, the beast initially wanted to sneak attack Ling Feng because among these people, Ling Feng's strength was the weakest, and Number One was the strongest. However, now that Number One had stepped in, the twin-toothed wind tiger no longer chose to ambush Ling Feng. Instead, it began to fight with Number One. It had no other choice but to fight Number One. Number One moved. He held the Tang Dao in front of him. The blade pointed forward. Suddenly, the blade glowed with an azure light, which was extremely eye-catching in the dark night. The two-toothed wind tiger didn't have time to dodge, so it could only rush over. The Tang sword slashed out and clashed with the tiger. The beast felt the pain and quickly dodged the attack. Number One had already expected this and pulled out his Tang sword, then jumped up. The Tang sword in his hand ruthlessly at the twin-toothed wind tiger's body. Roar! The beast couldn't avoid it and ate the attack. It let out a painful cry and then released its skill without any energy. Seeing this, Number One quickly retreated. After all, a counterattack before death was the most fatal. At some point, Number 4 had already sneaked under the tiger. A small dagger appeared in his hand, and with a slide kick, he cut open the beast's lower abdomen. Instantly, the two-toothed wind tiger fell into a pool of blood and stopped breathing. It was completely dead. Congratulations on killing the twin-toothed wind tiger, level points plus 400. Hearing the system notification, Ling Feng heaved a sigh of relief. This was too scary. This was the first time he had personally saved someone, and he almost failed. Fortunately, he had his clone, or he would have been finished. Thinking of this, Ling Feng gave his clone a thumbs up. The night had completely fallen, and it should have been pitch black. However, Ling Feng's surroundings suddenly lit up with several rays of light. Before he could see clearly what they were, a burst of foul smell assailed his nose. The surrounding avatars also quickly protected Ling Feng, constantly killing the beasts that rushed over. Seeing the corpse on the ground, Ling Feng finally saw what the beast was. It was a corrosive wolf. These wolves looked like dead bodies that had crawled out of rotten soil. Their whole bodies were in a rotten state and were filled with a foul smell. However, their eyes were very sharp. In the night, there were flashes of green light. Tier 3 corrosive wolf pack, but there aren't many of them. Kill. Seeing the situation clearly, Ling Feng's mouth revealed a trace of a cold smile. Raising his Tang Dao, he took the lead and rushed over. After a while, these corrosive wolves were all killed by Ling Feng and his clone. Ling Feng also took the opportunity to catch his breath. However, before Ling Feng sat down, he saw an even larger wolf walking towards him. There were even a few extremely strong wolves following him. Seeing this, Ling Feng's face turned serious. He no longer hid his combat strength and directly used one body as one. With a flash of light, Ling Feng transformed into an unmovable emperor. However, the current unmovable emperor was twice as big as at the high-level secret realm building. One of unmovable emperor was red, and the other was blue, formed from his fire clone and water clone, respectively. The intellectual sword was also twined with 2 rays of light, one blue and one red. Not only that, but at this time, the unmovable emperor also had 6 more arms, a total of 8, each arm holding a different weapon. The 2 main arms at the front held the intellectual sword and the karmic fire chain. Slash. The corrosive wolf king paled in comparison to Ling Feng's huge body. The 10-meter wisdom sword in his hand quickly slashed down, and the wolf king had no time to dodge. It could only launch an attack to block it. A cloud of green mist spurted out of the wolf king's mouth, attempting to block Ling Feng's attack, but it was completely useless. The intellectual sword didn't even stop for a moment, directly looking at the wolf king. Under immense pressure, the wolf king was unable to move at all. Ling Feng's intellectual sword annihilated even the guards. Ling Feng lifted the intellectual sword, and when the dust dispersed, only a few piles of rotten flesh were left on the ground. Congratulations on killing the corrosive wolf king. You have gained 500 level-up points. Hearing the system's notification, Ling Feng hurriedly deactivated United as one. This skill was good. It killed monsters very quickly, but it also consumed a lot of energy. With his current energy, he couldn't sustain it for too long. Thus, Ling Feng would only use this move when he encountered a difficult opponent. I have enough points to level up. Ling Feng looked at the system excitedly. Upgrade talent. Do you want to spend 1 million upgrade points to upgrade your talent clone? Yes. Ling Feng said excitedly. Upgrade successful. Your talent clone has reached S. rank. Suddenly, a white light wrapped around Ling Feng, and Ling Feng slowly floated in the air. Because it was nighttime, his light ball became the most dazzling place in the surroundings. The light ball attracted the beasts in the distance. Although the beasts were only active at night, it did not mean that they were afraid of the light. On the contrary, they yearned for light more. The beast's eyes were filled with greed as it rushed toward Ling Feng. However, he did not know what was happening outside. At this time, he had once again entered his consciousness. However, Ling Feng was currently standing in the ocean. In the distance, there were 2 stars, one big and one small, surrounded by planets of different sizes. The entire ocean began to surge at this moment. Although the sea was extremely calm, Ling Feng could feel that the calm sea was surging wildly. The stars also began to change, but the biggest change was still the largest star. The star was like a heart beating in the air. Every time it beat, its volume would increase a little. In a short while, it had become 10 times larger. It had also stopped beating. The ocean also began to expand along with the star. Ling Feng could clearly feel that his spiritual power was also expanding wildly. It was as if the ocean represented his energy, and his energy had increased tenfold. Seeing this change, Ling Feng couldn't help but laugh. The ocean and the star in front of him began to blur. His vision turned black, and he returned to reality. When he opened his eyes, almost all of his clones had fallen to the ground or died. Looking at the battlefield, the clone was fighting with a group of beasts. Although the clone was stronger, there were more beasts, so many so that they up for their lack of combat power. The desert of victory began to fall towards the beasts. The clones were about to die. Just when the clones felt that there was no hope, Ling Feng suddenly took a step forward. You want to bully my clone? Prepare to die. Chapter 43. 43 Hell ain't empty, I won't become a Buddha. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 43 Hell ain't empty, I won't become a Buddha. Under the night sky, hundreds of beasts took turns attacking the clone. Its physical strength was slowly exhausted in this high-intensity battle, and it dissipated one by one. Seeing that the last clone was about to dissipate, Ling Feng woke up. Almost without thinking, he walked forward. He then recalled his clone that had been struggling to hold on until now. Looking at the beasts in front of him, his eyes filled with anger. The emotions of the clones that he took back affected Ling Feng, and anger slowly filled his heart. When he was upgrading his talent, these clones were struggling to keep the main body from being hurt. They weren't killed, but their physical strength had been exhausted, and they had dissipated. Alright, then. I'll let you all have a taste of my S.rank clone strength. As he spoke, Ling Feng took a deep breath. Then, a white light flashed. This white light was extremely strong. The white light appeared in a radius of 100 meters. The white light was filled with killing intent. The hundreds of beasts were not easy to deal with either. They looked down at Ling Feng with eyes full of greed, and white gas came out of their nostrils and mouths. The white light dissipated, and the beast could no longer suppress the desire in its heart and rushed forward. The beast's appearance surprised Ling Feng. After all, it looked like a monster that had seen the meat of Monk Tang and was not afraid of death. However, the next moment, something shocking happened. A series of azure energy slashes appeared in front of him, slashing toward the beasts at the very front. Instantly, those beasts fell to the ground and became Ling Feng's leveling points. You want to kill my lord? You're courting death. Hundreds of voices gathered, shaking the clouds. Ling Feng was very shocked. He actually created hundreds of clones at once. This was really too shocking. The host's talent clone has evolved to S.rank and can now split into 100 clones. Each clone will inherit 150% of the host's combat strength. New function activated. External incarnation. External avatar. Create a permanent avatar with an independent personality. The system's voice constantly resounded in Ling Feng's mind. Ling Feng was also extremely excited. However, the most important thing now was to get rid of these beasts. Only by dealing with these berserk beasts would he have the time to figure out the system. However, Ling Feng was able to grasp the ability to create an outer body incarnation at the first moment. Brothers, kill them all. Ling Feng coldly said. After that, the hundreds of clones rushed forward. Although it looked strange because they all looked exactly the same, it was not a problem. Each clone was 50% stronger than Ling Feng's original body, so there was no problem dealing with these fierce beasts. Congratulations on killing the Wolf of Fury. Level points plus 300. Congratulations on killing the Sky-Splitting Chicken. Level up points plus 200. Congratulations on killing the Wild Dragon Turtle. Level up points plus 600. The system's notifications kept ringing in his ears. Ling Feng's clone was also waving the weapon in his hand. Killing this group of beasts was as easy as holding onto a chicken. The more ferocious the beasts were when they rushed up, the more miserable they would be when they died. Soon, these beasts were all killed by the clones. The smell of blood will definitely attract more ferocious beasts. I can't stay here for long. Ling Feng furrowed his brows, then walked towards the mountainback python. Now that he had successfully broken through his innate talent level, it seemed like he could finally try to kill that snake. With this thought in mind, Ling Feng's pace also sped up. Along the way, fierce beasts appeared from time to time. Towards this, Ling Feng had nothing to say, but with a swing of his blade, his level-up points increased a little. Very quickly, Ling Feng returned to the serpent's side. At this time, the python was still lying in a pool of blood. If one didn't look carefully, one would definitely think that it was dead. The snake was only left with its weak breathing. Ling Feng stood there and looked around. He didn't see the young senior and was a little confused. "You're here." Suddenly, a voice rang out behind Ling Feng, shocking him greatly. But when he turned around, he saw the young senior behind him. One had to know that he had looked around just now, but not to mention people. He didn't even see any beasts. This young man's combat strength seemed to be far from what it seemed. Could it be at tier 8? It can't be tier 9, right? The more Ling Feng thought about it, the more terrifying he became. He completely forgot to reply to the young man in front of him. "Kid." Hearing the young man's words, Ling Feng immediately came back to his senses and hurriedly bowed. I'm sorry, senior. I was spacing out." The young man also laughed, then looked at Ling Feng, his eyes full of curiosity. "It doesn't matter. You've been out for so long, and your strength and aura have increased a lot. However, your combat strength hasn't broken through yet. You've got something." This kid was indeed interesting. After all, when the two of them first met, although this kid's aura was strong, it was not to the extent of shocking people. However, the current aura had already surprised him. It had clearly not even been a day since they had met. Could it be that this kid's talent is SS. Rank? Thinking of this, the young man began to recall. He was thinking about the few SS. Rank awakened in the nearby cities who were similar to this kid. However, after thinking about it for a long time, he could not find any clues because there was not a single SS. Rank who fulfilled these conditions. However, an interesting little girl in the fantasy city had awakened a rare lightning talent, and it was even SS. Rank. If it was just an ordinary SS. Rank lightning talent, it would not be worth his attention. The key was that this Thunder. Type talent could also summon the Thunderlord Phantom. One must know that to be able to touch the Thunderlord, and such a talent definitely contained a huge secret. The other two SS. Rank in the fantasy city did not have the talent of clones either. Thinking of this, the young man frowned slightly. The initial rank for the clone talent was usually B. Rank. If one wanted to transform it into SS. Rank, not only would it be difficult, but it would also require the corresponding luck. The young man kept sizing Ling Feng up from top to bottom, from bottom to top, as if he couldn't wait to strip him naked to study him. It was really interesting. Seeing this, Ling Feng couldn't help but clench his butthole. Then, he saw the look in the young man's eyes. It can't be. The reason why she had such a good temper before couldn't be that she liked me, right? However, if this senior really had such a fetish, then should I obey or not? Brat, if you don't act now, this mountainback python is going to die. After saying that, Ling Feng also reacted. He bowed towards the young man and walked towards the snake. A white light flashed, and 100 clones appeared beside Ling Feng. Immediately after, he used one body one soul. The 100 clones instantly turned into 100 rays of light and entered Ling Feng's body. Ling Feng was covered in white light. Seeing this, the young man was a little surprised. This kid isn't ordinary. His talent has indeed changed. He can actually summon an ordinary clone. However, is there really an SS.rank cloning talent? I don't seem to remember. The young man carefully recalled for a while, but he really didn't pay much attention to this kind of unpopular talent. He really couldn't remember, so he had to check. The young man was shocked. The information on the internet was that ever since humans awakened their talents, in the past 1,000 years, not to mention SS.rank, there had not even been an S.rank clone awakener. There were less than 10 A.rank clone awakeners in the entire human world today. Not to mention anything else, just the talent of cloning was very rare. In addition, the probability of transformation was extremely low. Therefore, the kid in front of him should have transformed his talent. However, to be able to transform from B.rank all the way to SS.rank or S.rank, this kid's luck must be really good. I'm so envious of him. The young man began to look forward to what he would become. After all, when he had 20 clones, he could turn into a Buddha statue that was tens of meters tall. Now that he could summon 100 clones, what could he turn into? The young man began to look forward to it. At this time, the light around Ling Feng's body had yet to dissipate. Ling Feng, who was enveloped in the white light, was at this time thinking rapidly. He was merging a new image in his mind. This time, the fusion took much longer than before. This was mainly because Ling Feng wasn't very familiar with it. After 3 minutes, he created his new image. The light dissipated, and a huge figure appeared. A 100-meter bodhisattva appeared there, whose entire body was emitting golden light. The expression on his face was benevolent and calm, but his eyes revealed a ghastly aura of death. The bodhisattva lowered his head with benevolence and looked at the mountain-back python. If hell is not empty, I will not become Buddha. Evil creature, help me cultivate. The netherworld has opened. I will help you get out of this sea of suffering. Chapter 44. 44 Are you willing to come to my academy? You are listening at novelfull.audio. 44 Are you willing to come to my academy? The moon hung high in the sky, and a faint silver light fell from the sky. A golden bodhisattva stood on the ruins, his eyes full of compassion. Just a single glance could calm one's impetuous mood. However, the movement of the bodhisattva's birth was also very loud. The fierce beasts that kept roaring in the distance looked over, but they did not rush over. Instead, he stood there and kept roaring at Ling Feng. One by one, the ferocious beasts sat there, facing Ling Feng's direction with their heads held high as if they were fighting against him. The young man stood there, and the speed at which he brought the wine gourd to his mouth began to slow down. He looked at Ling Feng with a look of surprise. At this moment, Ling Feng put his hands together and said in a deep voice, I am Ksitigarbha. Today, I will send you to hell. After saying that, the golden wheel floating behind Ling Feng's back gradually grew. It began to spin and flew into his hand. Ling Feng held it in his hand, then gently pushed it towards the mountain-back python. Even though Ling Feng's movements were very slow, the golden wheel's rotation became faster and faster. It even broke through the speed of sound, and bursts of sonic booms sounded in the surroundings. The spinning wheel struck the python's body, which had been split into two, and a sizzling sound rang out from its body. The spinning wheel did not directly cut the python's body in half. Instead, it continued to collide with it. After each collision, the spinning wheel would bounce off. However, after bouncing off, the wheel would quickly hit again. Ling Feng stood there, calmly controlling the wheel. Even though he knew that the spinning wheel could not kill the snake so easily, its hardness was sufficient. Hence, killing the mountain-back python was only a matter of time. The young man stood there, drinking his wine in boredom. When he saw this scene, he drank even faster, and a trace of disappointment appeared in his eyes. He thought that the current Ling Feng would surprise him, but it seemed that he had expected too much from Ling Feng. After all, he only had Tier 3 combat power. However, it was also very surprising to the young man. After all, Ling Feng's combat strength was only at the 3rd rank. It was already very good that he could do this. Ling Feng's perception was very strong under the state of one body and one heart. He also noticed that the young man's expression was not right and said to himself, I originally wanted to get along with you under a normal identity, but since you look down on me, I can only lay my cards on the table. Ling Feng no longer concealed his strength. Initially, he had planned to grind this mountain-back python to death. That way, he wouldn't have any accidents. However, since this mysterious young man wanted to see his full strength, he would show him a little. Moreover, Ling Feng was also very curious about the opportunity that the young man mentioned. Even if using all his strength would bring some side effects, it was worth it. Just like that, Ling Feng suddenly stopped spinning and put it behind him. Then, Bodhisattva put his palms together, and Ksitigarbha's body began to change dramatically. With a flash of light, Ksitigarbha also changed his appearance. He was wearing a crown and a heavenly robe. He held a staff in one hand and a lotus in the other. The transformed Ksitigarbha made a gesture of pinching a flower with his fingers, and the lotus flower in his hand slowly opened, with a burning red flame inside. Heart fire. Ling Feng muttered in a low voice. That ball of heart fire left the lotus and charged towards the mountain-back python. As it rose, the flame grew bigger and bigger. Ling Feng also continuously strengthened the heart fire. In order to keep the heart flame at its strongest output, the flames landed on the python, penetrating through its scales and burning toward the deepest part of its soul. After the snake sensed it, its already weak breathing became more intense. Soon after, it became extremely weak again, as if it would die at any moment. Seeing this, Ling Feng also heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the heart fire that he had improved was much stronger than the original. Initially, the heart fire had a limit, and that was to rely on fire attribute skills. The higher the level of the skill, the greater the power of the heart fire. However, after Ling Feng's modification, the heart fire no longer had such limitations. He had added the heart fire into his own mental energy, thus creating this heart fire technique that ignored skill levels. Of course, this was not completely without flaws. It was extremely harmful to an opponent who was on the verge of death. If he encountered an opponent at his peak condition, it would be fine if the opponent's mental power was not as strong as his. If the opponent were stronger than him, then he would suffer a backlash. Seeing Ling Feng's improved heart fire, the young man's eyes also had a trace of admiration. This kid's comprehension is pretty good. After a short while, Ling Feng's heart fire burnt the python to death. Congratulations on killing the mountain-back python, level points plus 7,000. Immediately after, a skill crystal rolled to Ling Feng's feet. He deactivated his skills and picked up the skill crystal. He didn't put it into his pocket but walked towards the young man. Senior, I hope you can accept this skill crystal. The young man glanced at Ling Feng indifferently, then looked at the skill crystal. His eyes seemed to have a bright moon in them. He then said, I don't need this crystal. You were the one who killed the mountain-back python, so you can keep it. Seeing that the young man was not willing to accept it, Ling Feng could only give up. After all, this young man's combat power was so strong. If he wanted to get a skill crystal, he could just go and farm it. However, Ling Feng was still very polite. Thank you, senior. Then this junior will respectfully comply. Kid, you're not bad. I've passed through 30 cities but never met someone as interesting as you. The young man's tone was filled with emotion. The kid in front of him did not look very eye-catching, his combat strength was not strong, and his talent was not top-notch. However, he was able to display a strength that did not belong to his talent and combat strength. In short, you can't trap this kid in a certain range. Once you do, he will use his actions to tell you that the range is too small. This was the first time the young man had encountered such a person. If he had to give an evaluation, the young man could only say, "You always catch me off guard." Because of such an evaluation, the young man felt a sense of thankfulness. If he could take him under his wing, it might not be so bad after all. "Kid, are you willing to join my academy?" The young man hung the wine gourd on his waist. Under the moonlight, he looked like a master. "Senior, may I ask if this is my only chance?" Ling Feng said after a pause. "No, if you enter my academy, I will not treat my students unfairly. I will not return on my words if you don't enter and still give you opportunities." Ling Feng also understood what he meant. "If you join my academy, I won't let you suffer. There will be a lot of opportunities. But if you don't, then I will just give you something to send you away." "May I ask which academy you are referring to?" Ling Feng asked. He didn't know much about these universities. Other than the top 10 schools, he only remembered a few special schools among the top 100. In fact, Ling Feng didn't have many requirements for the university. The senior in front of him was strong in combat and strength, just like the legendary masters. Therefore, if he could enter the academy that he was talking about, it would be a pretty good choice. He didn't have much to rely on in a university anyway. He had the system, so resources weren't that important. However, if he could enter a good university, he would be able to broaden his horizons. The head of the 10 great academies, the Invincible Academy. The young man said indifferently. However, after hearing this, Ling Feng fell into deep thought. Where did the Invincible Academy come from? Moreover, he also learned about the top 10 academies. He naturally knew about the top 10 academies, but it wasn't the Invincible Academy. Moreover, the name sounded more like it would come out of an anime. You don't have to doubt it. The Invincible Academy was once the top of the 10 great academies, but it voluntarily gave up its ranking 100 years ago. Now, it has become a hidden academy, stationed in the ultimate and suppressing those invaders worldwide. Hearing this, Ling Feng fell into deep thought again. He knew about the sinkhole himself. It was the weakest place in the blue star's space and the easiest place for the myriad world to invade the star. Therefore, it was extremely chaotic and dangerous there. "Senior, I'm willing to die." Before Ling Feng could finish his sentence, an old and familiar voice interrupted him. "Kid, don't be fooled. That Invincible Academy only has 2 people from top to bottom, and the death rate is extremely high. If you go, don't hold any hope of coming back alive." Ling Feng looked toward the source of the voice. In an instant, the owner of the voice appeared in front of him. When he saw who it was, he was shocked. It was actually the owner of the weapons store. "Kid, do you want to consider coming to my Elemental Academy? You can come with your girlfriend." Chapter 45. 45 I'm popular. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 45 I'm popular. This person was the owner of the weapons store where Ling Feng had bought tang blades many times. Speaking of which, Ling Feng had long felt that this person was not ordinary. After all, he could tell that something was wrong with him but did not make a move on him. Thus, Ling Feng guessed that this person should be a senior. Or the principal of a school. And just now, this senior had actually flown over. Flying was the standard of a 7th rank combatant. This old man had tier 7 combat strength. And from his tone, it seemed like he knew the Invincible Academy the young man was talking about. Could it be that these 2 people's combat power was similar? Ling Feng was caught in the middle with a blank look on his face. He was clearly just an ordinary B. rank. He had only evolved 4 times to reach S. rank. How did he become the target of the 2 forces? I don't understand. Kid, don't be so surprised. My identity isn't a secret, so I'll tell you. I am Professor Wang from the School of Elements and the commissioner who came to Fantasy City to recruit students. I thought I could only recruit Su Ranran, but you really surprised me. Professor Wang looked at Ling Feng in front of him, his eyes full of surprise and surprise. Not to mention talent, just the speed at which this kid's combat strength broke through was already on par with an SS. Rank talent. After all, even Shurifeng, who had an SS. Rank talent, had just broken through to Tier 3 not long ago. Based on the speed of his breakthrough in combat strength alone, it was not worth Professor Wang's thoughts. The most important thing was that this kid's talent had changed again. Talent transformation was already considered the most difficult. It was countless times more difficult than a breakthrough in combat strength. And such a difficult thing actually happened to Ling Feng twice in less than 3 months. This was not a matter of 1 + 1 = 2. He had lived for so many years, but he had never seen such an outstanding genius. Furthermore, an S.-rank cloning talent had never appeared in the history of mankind. It could be said that Ling Feng was the first person to break through to the S.-rank clone in history. He would definitely be recorded in the history books. Professor Wang had come here with the intention of traveling around. When he saw a bodhisattva appear not far away, he came forward to investigate out of curiosity. Who would have thought that this bodhisattva was actually Ling Feng? Professor Wang didn't really mind at first. After all, there was still some time before the recruitment. He could extend an olive branch to Ling Feng then. However, when he heard that the Invincible Academy was trying to rope in Ling Feng, he immediately became anxious. They definitely couldn't let Ling Feng join any other academy, especially the Invincible Academy. The Invincible Academy had declined long ago, and it was located in the sinkhole where danger lurked everywhere. Ling Feng was a genius, one with unreasonable talent. He definitely couldn't die like that. This kind of genius should enter the Elemental Academy. The academy would give him resources, and he would grow up crazily, eventually becoming the pillar of humanity. What do you think, kid? Ling Feng said bitterly, the 2 seniors are both experts. What use is my decision? The young man took a sip of wine and looked at Professor Wang. He could not find a similar face in his memory, so he said, you can choose. I respect your decision. Professor Wang also looked at the young man and thought, this person should be the Invincible Academy's current eldest senior brother. His cultivation is similar to mine, but he doesn't quite match the rumors. On careful thought, it was true that one should not believe the rumors. Eldest senior brother rarely went out and liked to stay in the sinkhole to refine weapons, so it was normal for the rumors to be mistaken. I respect your choice, but I suggest you consider your little girlfriend. After all, you've been at university for 4 years, and many things have happened. Many couples break up because of different places. You should know this. Hearing this, Ling Feng almost cried out again. Aren't you forcing me? Bvec Ling Feng looked at the 2 seniors and said, Senior, can you introduce the Elemental Academy? After saying that, Professor Wang's heart was filled with joy. It seemed that he had succeeded. My elemental college is ranked 3rd among the top 10. We mainly recruit elemental-type awakeners and have signed contracts with 6 elemental worlds, so we can go to those 6 elemental worlds to cultivate. Cultivating there will yield twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, our college has all kinds of mystical cultivation realms that can greatly increase the speed of cultivation. Furthermore, the students who enter our school will be free of charge and will receive a monthly allowance of 10,000 star coins. Everyone will be allocated a villa and 3 servants. When they enter the school, they will receive 10 million star coins. After graduation, you'll be guaranteed a job. Whether you want to join the army, an adventure team, or a government unit, the academy can easily get you one. Of course, it's not just what I've said. You'll understand the other benefits when you go to the academy. But that Invincible Academy has been in decline for many years, and only 2 people are in the school. Furthermore, they're guarding the sinkhole. Their mortality rate is extremely high. Hearing these benefits, Ling Feng couldn't help but say, I'm tempted. Then, he looked at the young senior, but the young man only smiled and didn't show any other emotions. It seems like Professor Wang knows our Invincible Academy very well. But do you know what benefits we offer? Hearing this, Professor Wang was stunned and then shook his head. The Invincible Academy was guarding such a dangerous place. Putting aside the fact that their lives were in danger at any time, what benefits could you get? Even if there were benefits, you had to be alive to enjoy them in the first place. My Invincible Academy is located in the sinkhole and is surrounded by many foreign races. It can be said to be a rare trial ground. If you train there, you'll benefit greatly. Secondly, the sinkhole is the weakest place in the blue planet space. If the alien races can invade our blue planet, can't we also invade the new worlds? When the time comes, the resources within can be used for our own use. Finally, even if my Invincible Academy has fewer people, we were once at the top of the 10 great academies. Even if we have fewer people now, we will have more resources on average. Therefore, as long as you join my academy, all the facilities in the academy will be free of charge. After saying that, the young man took another big gulp of wine. Ling Feng looked at the wine gourd with a face full of doubt. This wine gourd didn't look that big, so why was there so much wine inside? Professor Wang sneered and said, "So what if you have so many resources? The land of the ultimate is so dangerous. If a young man goes there, he may lose his life if he is not careful. There will be no future for him. How can it be safer than my Elemental Academy? As long as he can grow up in peace, that is the future of mankind." The young man snorted coldly. "You're a pacifist. You're very afraid of death." When Professor Wang heard this, he was about to flare up, but a wine gourd was stuffed into his mouth, and he couldn't speak at all. "Talk less and drink more. Kid, tell me, where do you want to go?" Ling Feng stood there and thought for a moment. Then, he turned to Professor Wang and bowed. Seeing this, Professor Wang was overjoyed. This kid was not bad. It seemed that his dissuasion had worked. "I'm sorry, Professor Wang." After that, Lin Feng turned and walked toward the young man. "I choose the Invincible Academy." The smile on Professor Wang's face suddenly froze. Chapter 46. 46 I choose the Supreme Academy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 46 I choose the Supreme Academy. The night was cold, and the three were silent. At that moment, Professor Wang felt as if his heart had been hurt. "You bowed to me but didn't choose me in the end. Are you playing with me?" But the man was thinking the opposite. He was a little surprised. He walked over slowly. He had looked for many talents, but if the other party knew the situation of the Supreme Academy, he would reject them without a word. That was why he was the only one who dared attend school. The man looked at Ling Feng calmly as if trying to see through him. Ling Feng didn't think too much about it. He believed that even if the ultimate was dangerous, the possibility of encountering monsters was higher for him. The system relied on killing monsters to level up, so the ultimate was a good place. The more ferocious the monsters were, the happier he became. It was impossible for the Supreme Academy, which had been established for 300 years, to be located in a school fraught with danger. The danger of death was more likely to be outside the school. However, if he had chosen the school for chaotic elements, it would not be easy to go out and hunt. The management of those schools was very strict. If one wanted to go out, not only did they have to report, but they also had to state their purpose. This was a kind of protective measure for students but doubled as a kind of punishment. This was because the students in these top schools were the hope of the human race, and it was necessary to protect them. Therefore, this rule was contrary to his wishes and was not what he wanted. "Young man, I'll ask you one more time. Do you really insist on being stubborn?" Professor Wang's face was very gloomy, and the weight in his heart was almost out of balance. Hearing this, Ling Feng's expression became awkward. At this time, the man stood in front of Ling Feng. He has already chosen our school. Do you still want to poach him? He said with a smile. I just feel that with this kid's talent and potential, it's really a waste for him to go to your Supreme Academy. Professor Wang's words were filled with regret as he looked at Ling Feng unwillingly. However, the next second, he saw a straight sword light. A great sword descended from the sky and hung behind the man, like a god. That's it, right? The man's expression was calm as he closed his eyes to rest. Ling Feng was slightly surprised. This man was too good at acting cool. Professor Wang was shocked. His whole body trembled as he asked, "You can't be the god of swords, right? To be called the sword god here, could it be the so-called genius, Li Qinglian? Other than him, there couldn't be anyone else." The man's expression was calm, and he didn't seem to be in a hurry to speak. However, Professor Wang was now certain that it was the sword god himself. He immediately saluted respectfully. "Sir, you are senior sword god. It's my fault for being impolite. I'll take my leave." Then, a ray of light appeared under his feet. He turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky. Now, only Ling Feng and the pretentious man were left. The man suddenly opened one of his eyes and glanced around. He only returned to his original state when he found no one was around. "Young man, what do you think of my move? Do you want to learn it?" he said with a smile. "Senior, you are willing to teach me?" Ling Feng blinked. "Of course not. This move is purely based on talent. However, if you're lucky enough to comprehend the talent of sword essence, I'll consider teaching you," the man said. Not to mention the talent of sword essence, other trashy talents were also hard to come by. Not only by your looks but also by your strength and wealth. Up until now, he didn't expect any of these. As long as the talent of the clone could be upgraded continuously, it would be fine as long as its strength was fully enhanced. Sword God. Is it really you, senior? Ling Feng still had some doubts in his heart. The sword god was a human legend. From B.rank trash to SS rank talent sword technique, he had reached godlike sword intent. However, the sword god was estimated to be over 200 years old. The man in front of her was about 30 years old. Was he really the same person? Suddenly, the man's hand landed on Ling Feng's shoulder. Ling Feng looked at the man, who said, "The dean doesn't have the time to accept students personally. It's just that I, the eldest senior brother, worked hard on his behalf. Perhaps you don't know this, but I've slowly walked through over 30 cities and met many people with potential. However, when they heard the name of the Supreme Academy, they would avoid it like the plague. Only you have a different reaction from them. You're talented and have commendable courage. It won't be a problem for you to live for 3 to 5 years." Ling Feng laughed awkwardly. Wasn't that a little too much? Was that even human? What do you mean by 3 to 5 years? You've lived for dozens. The man also felt that something was wrong and quickly corrected, wrong. Actually, as long as you're obedient and stay in the academy, there won't be any problems. You can rest assured about that. Although our school is average in other aspects, our security measures are very in place, better than many other schools. Even if a god were to come, he wouldn't be able to break it open. Ling Feng expressed his doubts. This person's words were only 30% true. He really didn't know if he could be trusted. However, the other party's attitude was warm. Ling Feng smiled. "Eldest senior brother, what about the opportunity you promised me just now?" When the eldest brother heard this, he paused and said, "We're all family now. What's the point of talking about fate? Let's go. I'll take you back to the city to meet some." With that, Ling Feng was pulled by the eldest senior brother toward G City. Ling Feng's face was blank. What? The eldest brother's skin was extremely thick. He turned around and laughed, "Don't be anxious. When we reach the academy, the opportunity will come. You'll know then that eldest senior brother won't cheat you. Ling Feng's gaze became even more suspicious, but he was completely ignored. The man subsequently took him away. Opportunities. In fact, he hadn't thought about it yet. He had said it in the first place to show off. There was still some time before this kid graduated, so he had time to prepare. The most important thing now was to eat. After all, he had completed his mission and accepted a student. This was the big deal. But eldest senior brother, the city gates are already closed. How are we going to get in? Ling Feng said. After dark, the city gates would automatically close. The city's intelligence system controlled this, and no one could interfere. However, the eldest senior brother smiled mysteriously. That's only for dealing with ordinary people. Your eldest senior brother has his own brilliant plan. As he spoke, eldest senior brother took out a black card and waved it gently. The city gate actually opened, and Ling Feng was dumbfounded. The city gate opened to reveal a small door, just enough for a person to pass through. Free access detected. You may pass. Ling Feng's face was filled with shock as he followed his senior brother into the city. Seeing the calm and composed look on his face, his heart was filled with desire. As expected, the rules were only meant to restrain the weak. The strong would always have special privileges. He had always known that the strong were respected. In the city, such an experience did not seem deep to him, but now, he suddenly realized it. As long as one had the authority, the power, and the strength, there was nothing that couldn't be done. For example, opening a city gate that ordinary people couldn't open, or easily ignoring the rule that the city gate couldn't be opened at night. This was the world seen by the strong. But, sooner or later, he would be one of them. Chapter 47. 47 Let's go to your house after dinner. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 47 Let's go to your house after dinner at the hotel. There was a large table full of sumptuous dishes, and the eldest brother ate with great relish. Soon, there was nothing left. He raised his hand and called for the waiter. Sister, do it again. Ling Feng sighed. His senior brother looked like a hungry ghost. It was really scary in the middle of the night, and it was also very attractive. Looking at his embarrassing appearance, he wanted to hide in a crack in the ground. She was just a waiter. Why did she have to claim that she was his relative? Did she think this was a club? The waiter rushed over without any displeasure. As a waiter here, she had seen all kinds of people, so she was not surprised. Even if it was a weird or freak, she could deal with it calmly. To put it nicely, it was calm, but to put it badly, it was numb. Not long after, the hot dishes were served on the table. Eldest brother began to sweep the table again. After a while, the dishes on the table were almost finished. Junior brother, hurry up and eat. What are you doing? If you don't eat now, there won't be any left. Eldest brother's mouth was full of food as he spoke indistinctly. I'm not hungry. Ling Feng's stomach began to churn after he finished speaking. He had been hunting during the day and had not eaten anything until now. The energy in his body could maintain a certain amount of physical strength, but he could not replenish his nutrients, and he would get hungry. Your stomach is more honest than your mouth. Hurry up and eat. We'll go to your house after you're done, he mumbled. My house. Ling Feng paused. Eldest senior brother, my house is small and can't accommodate 2 people. It's no big deal. The sofa is enough for me to sleep on. Hurry up and eat. I only come out once a year. It's a rare opportunity. Have you been to the red light district before? Ling Feng's face turned red, and he quickly waved his hand in denial. No. I've never been there. I didn't expect you to be a virgin. I'll take you out to play when I have the chance. How about that? These words were simply a temptation. However, Ling Feng didn't seem to be tempted at all. I'm almost done. I won't tease you anymore. It's so comfortable to be full. The 2 tables of luxurious food were swept clean. Eldest senior brother was indeed really powerful. Ling Feng ate very little, less than half of what he ate. Sister, it's time to pay. As soon as he shouted, the master-like air of the eldest senior brother was instantly gone. Instead, he looked like a dandy young master. The waiter came very quickly and took out the bill, placing it in front of senior brother. Hello, this table is 9,500 star. Coins in total. For this meal, eldest brother had eaten half a year's salary of an ordinary person. If it was in the past, Ling Feng would definitely be in pain. However, to the current him, it was not worth mentioning. Junior brother, what are you standing there for? Pay the bill. Eldest senior brother said with a smile. Ha! I'll pay. Ling Feng looked at his eldest senior brother, speechless. What kind of senior brother was this? Eldest senior brother smiled and spread out his hands to show he had no money. He then looked at Ling Feng pitifully. Ling Feng helplessly took out his wallet and paid. It was really unexpected. Eldest senior brother was a strong person, but he had no silver in his hands. How could he survive? Ling Feng was helpless. After paying the bill, the 2 walked out of the hotel with their arms around each other's shoulders. They could only be described as bad friends. On the way back, the image of the senior brother in Ling Feng's heart as a powerful expert completely disappeared. Originally, he had thought of his eldest senior brother as a cold, handsome, quiet, and powerful senior brother. But at this moment, he finally saw it clearly. This was simply a young master who spent money extravagantly and did not care about his image. When they reached home, Ling Feng gently opened the door, turned around, and threw eldest senior brother onto the bed. He also collapsed on the sofa in exhaustion and fell into a deep sleep not long after. The next morning. Ding dong. The sound of his watch was deafening. Ling Feng frowned and struggled to open his eyes. He raised his hand and saw that it was a message from the class group chat. So noisy. Can't you let me sleep? Ling Feng was just about to turn it off when he suddenly saw the message display and was instantly awakened. Breaking news. That Shurifang from the 2nd high came to our 3rd high and even set up the stage. He said he's going to beat up all the people from our 3rd high, and the scene will definitely be even more exciting. F***ck, is this for real? But if I had an SS rank talent, I would definitely be as arrogant as him. By the way, what's going on with Su Ranran? It's been a while. Why hasn't she responded yet? Could it be that she's scared that Su Ranran, huh? She probably hasn't reached tier 3 yet, right? She probably can't beat that Shurifang, so it's only natural for her to avoid him. Ling Feng's brows furrowed. What the hell did they know anyway? He quickly got up and glanced at his eldest senior brother, who was in a deep sleep. He turned around and went into the bathroom to wash up, then went out. Su Ranran is still in seclusion. I'll take Shurifang down. His tone was firm as he headed straight for the school. Outside the school, many people were heading straight for the 3rd high school, probably to watch the fun. Ling Feng took out the skill crystal and placed it between his eyebrows. This skill crystal was obtained when he killed the mountain python. He did not have time to look at it carefully at that time. The mountain rock arm had the ability to summon the power of the mountain rocks. When the power was attached to the arm, it could greatly increase its strength and defense. In the next second, Ling Feng learned the skill, but he was not very familiar with it and could only operate it with simple movements. He tried to release the skill, and in an instant, he felt a layer of armor gather on his arm, covering it completely. Moreover, the strength of his arm seemed to have doubled, as if it had the power to break rocks and break the sky. This skill was awesome. With this buff, defeating Shuri Feng would not be difficult. In the competition arena, Shuri Feng stood there like a mighty mountain, his entire body emitting golden light. A person emitting a white light was hitting him, but Shuri Feng did not feel it, allowing the other party to do as he pleased. This is F*King abnormal. Was its defense so powerful? Lu Qi had an S.rank talent, astral equipment. It actually couldn't break his defense. The white light brat roared loudly. The white light turned red, and his speed increased greatly. However, Shuri Feng did not panic in the slightest, and he was still the same as before. The surrounding audience was stunned. This is F*King abnormal. Was its defense so powerful? Lu Qi had an S.rank talent, astral equipment. It actually couldn't break his defense. What the hell? Looks like it won't work. Lu Qi's attack power is one of the best among the S.rank awakened. If even he can't break through Shuri Feng's defense, who else can? Or, if Shuri Feng leaves the ground, he should have a chance because his innate attribute of being the child of the earth will continuously recover his stamina and increase his attributes. However, this Shuri Feng is tightly connected to the ground. How can he separate himself from the ground? Unless someone has immense strength, it's impossible. If Su Ranran was here, she might be able to do it. Thunderlord can fight those of a higher realm. Who knows, she might be able to do it. But no one can contact her. Thump. There was a loud bang. Shuri Feng slapped Lu Qi with the power of the earth element, sending him flying. Lu Qi fell to the ground, spitting out blood and breathing weakly. Who's next? Shuri Feng shouted loudly, his sharp eyes sweeping the surroundings. Not only was his gaze filled with ridicule, but it also contained a look of disdain for everyone here. This wave of people watching the battle was all afraid. No one dared to step forward. Death. However, no one dared to say anything. Some of them even wanted to beat him up and destroy his prestige. I'm next. The person who responded was a handsome young man. He was dressed in ancient Chinese clothing and had a handsome smile. Jiang Fan. It's Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan's talent is the gas source. Not only can he control gas, but he's already reached rank 2 and is about to reach rank 3. There might be hope. If his talent and combat power are not as good as his opponents, it's very difficult to win. He probably intends to use the wheel battle to exhaust his opponent in a protracted battle. Below him, more than 10 S.rank awakened ones were eyeing Shuri Feng covetously. They could not wait to beat him up. Their original plan was to attack one by one and exhaust the other party. Shuri Feng was also an ordinary person, and it was impossible for his battle prowess not to decrease for a long time. Thus, taking turns to fight was an extremely good strategy. Thump. As soon as that person went up, he was attacked by a strong gravitational force. Originally flying in the air, he was actually forcefully dragged down by this force, almost falling miserably. Shuri Feng laughed heartily. As the child of the earth, even if I don't have any talent in gravity, being proficient in the techniques of gravity isn't something difficult. It just so happens that I can counter you. That person's face was deathly pale. Shuri Feng had weakened his gravitational force, and he had lost without even fighting. Hurry up and get lost. Shuri Feng laughed coldly. He didn't care about this trash at all. He raised his hand, and his golden arm smacked the other party away. Who else wants to try? Hee, I will. Chapter 48. 48 Too arrogant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 48 Too arrogant. As soon as he finished speaking, a young man with a cold face, a blue forehead ribbon, and 2 knives in his hands slowly walked over. When everyone saw this person clearly, they were all shocked. Lang Yu. Didn't he spend most of his time hunting and rarely showed himself? He's actually here. This is the famous martial arts fanatic. It's rare for him to come. So what if he's a martial arts fanatic? It's only true that he can beat him. Ling Yu's face was cold and indifferent. He calmly looked at Shuri Feng and said, "I'll fight you." Shuri Feng coldly laughed. Who cared what kind of goods they brought? In any case, they were all trash. Golden light covered his body as he looked at his opponent. "I know you. Your dual blade attacks are very powerful. Even I have to pay attention to it. What rubbish are you talking about? Let's start fighting." Leng Xiao was speechless. Ha ha ha, looks like there's really no one in the 3 high schools. Your realm doesn't seem to have reached the same level as mine, right? But I will suppress my combat power and won't bully the weak. I'll also teach you what the difference in levels is. What do you mean by the difference between heaven and earth? Hey, why do you have so much trash talk? Are we fighting or not? The young man tightly held his 2 blades. It was as if he was stepping on a firestorm wheel. With a whoosh, his 2 blades emitted a blue light. He took a step back, his body slightly tilting to the side. As he waved his 2 blades, a whirlwind suddenly flew out, stabbing toward Shuri Feng. This speed endlessly surprised everyone. The white light whizzed. In a flash. Not bad. Shuri Feng didn't move, and a golden shield appeared before him. Clang. The 2 daggers made a loud sound when they hit the shield. You're fast enough, but my defense isn't something that a small fry like you can break. After saying that, Shuri Feng laughed loudly and extremely arrogantly. He suddenly stomped on the ground. It's my turn. Pointed spikes made of earth emerged from the ground, and they covered a radius of 10 meters around him. Leng Xiao was slightly surprised and quickly avoided these things. After moving to a few places, she landed not far away. However, before he could react, the light above his head was blocked by something. Watch my sword that equals the heavens. The ground glowed with golden light, and the earth elements gathered in the sky. It didn't take long for the earth elements to form a 10-meter long sword that took aim at Leng Xiao's position and slashed down. It was so fast that it was impossible to guard against. When Leng Xiao noticed it, he panicked. Although he also had amazing speed, his right arm was still injured. Shuri Feng sneered, "Oh, you're bleeding. Admit defeat. There's no need to continue fighting." Leng Xiao's eyes dimmed. The opponent was indeed strong enough to suppress him. A sense of defeat filled his mind. It turned out that the strength of an SS rank was so overpowering. He felt extremely uncomfortable. Why was the difference so huge? Leng Xiao was unwilling to accept this, but the truth was right in front of him. He could only secretly make up his mind that one day, he would wash away the humiliation he had suffered and defeat Shuri Feng. He retreated. Next. Do you have more? Shuri Feng laughed even more insolently, not bothering to hide his arrogance. Everyone was speechless, and no one responded. From the window of his office not far away, the principal looked at the stage and said coldly, "Su Ranran, still no news." Secretary Qian shook his head. "I've called her family. They said she's in seclusion." The principal sighed. Shuri Feng's strength was indeed not to be underestimated, but they couldn't just let him do as he pleased in the school. Although it was normal for him to compete in martial arts, and as an elder, it was inappropriate for him to interfere, not to mention that it concerned the school's reputation. With the exception of Su Ranran, who do you think can beat Shuri Feng? Secretary Qian thought for a long time but couldn't think of anything. The difference between the S and SS ranks isn't some tiny gap. Besides, the realm is also a huge threshold. I see no other hope other than Su Ranran. The principal was helpless in this situation. If there were any SS rank experts, taking turns would be useful. However, Shuri Feng is the child of the earth. As long as he touches the ground, he will be able to obtain an endless supply of stamina and combat power. According to the current lineup, taking turns would be completely useless. Even if everyone were to take him on once, Shuri Feng would still not suffer any injuries. Why don't we just lose once? It's fine. We'll just fight back when Su Ranran comes out. That's right, the principal nodded. Well, that's true. It's not a big deal to lose once. You're the one who understands. The principal left the window and returned to his seat. He was about to give up when he suddenly thought of someone. Where's the kid who can clone himself? The principal was a vengeful person. He had suffered a loss at his hands a few days ago, and now he remembered. Ling Feng. Secretary Qian immediately remembered. At that time, Ling Feng had defeated a Tier 3 teacher with his Tier 2 strength, which was still fresh in the minds of people. At that time, Su Ranran had also stood up for him, so Secretary Qian naturally remembered this person. That's right, it's him, Ling Feng. How is he now? The principal had an idea. He had gone hunting with Su Ranran before. After she went into seclusion, he went hunting alone. Although he encountered assassins, he seemed to have eliminated all of them. If Ling Feng was the one who killed the assassin, then. However, the principal thought about it and decided not to. He's only an A. rank. Forget it. Let's just focus our attention on Su Ranran. When she comes out of seclusion, we'll talk to her nicely and let her represent the school to challenge Shuri Feng. Secretary Qian also felt that this was a good idea. However, he felt an indescribable feeling towards Ling Feng. Next to the building, Li Wu stood beside an important figure and pointed at Ling Feng, who was in the audience. He said in a low voice, "Second uncle, that person is Ling Feng." The second uncle he referred to was the Li family's third young master. He was the one behind the assassination of Ling Feng. Ling Feng's background information had already been thoroughly investigated. She was just an orphan who grew up in a welfare home and had no relationship with Su Ranran whatsoever. They were just desk mates and had few friends outside of school. Such a person would not attract any attention if he were eliminated. As long as he was careful and did not leave any traces, no one would know who did it. When Su Ranran learned of his death, she might blame it on Shuri Feng. However, both were SS rank, so they were balanced and would not suffer any casualties. Even if one died in a battle, it would be a death in a martial arts competition. According to the rules of the competition, no one could be blamed. Second uncle, those S.rank experts have all been defeated. Chapter 49. 49 You Nobodies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 49 You Nobodies on the tournament stage. Shuri Feng looked down at the crowd and laughed proudly. Below the stage, everyone was furious, but there was nothing they could do. They couldn't beat him. If they could, they would beat him up as a group to vent their anger. Shuri Feng also knew this, so he was even more arrogant. The three high schools are only so. All of them were trash. So what if there were many S.rank students? They were all trash. You want to take turns fighting me? What a joke. After he finished speaking, he spat at the people below the stage. The humiliation was too obvious, and the students below the stage were furious. Shuri Feng. Don't be too arrogant. I want to challenge you. An A.rank awakened shouted. That's right. Although I may be .rank, count me in to take care of this fanatic. For the three high. Everyone was shouting loudly. In their passion, they had forgotten the difference. Shuri Feng looked at this scene and was slightly surprised. However, after thinking about it, he realized his goal had been achieved. He had originally wanted to take this opportunity to kill Ling Feng. Now that he had incited public anger, wasn't it a good opportunity to provoke these fools and force Ling Feng to go up the stage and tear him into pieces? Seriously. It still had to be me. The trash below the stage, do you think you can defeat me? What a joke. Shuri Feng disdainfully swept his gaze across the crowd below the stage. His provocation was on point. Everyone was so furious they were about to rush up to kill him. So what if you're strong? There's always someone better. You'll die in someone else's hands sooner or later if you're this arrogant. Hearing this, Shuri Feng laughed. You trash. A loser. What right do you have to criticize me? Can you even beat me? The faces of the people below the stage were ashen. They were angry and depressed, but they were helpless. Indeed, no one could beat him. However, if any of you want to go on stage because you're angry, I'll fulfill your wish. Come and try. Even if all of you come on stage, no one can touch a single strand of hair on my head. He arrogantly clamored, insufferably arrogant, as he gave no regard to whoever he was speaking to. A student couldn't stand his arrogant look and jumped onto the stage, shouting, "I'll be the first." He had just gone on stage, but who knew that moments later, he would be smacked down. Pfft. The man fell to the ground and vomited blood, then fainted. Trash, you dare to come up with such a skill. When the crowd saw that their classmate was seriously injured and humiliated by him, they were even more furious. The threshold for the 3 high is really low. Any cat or dog can enter. I think it's better to turn it into an amusement park as soon as possible. And you trash, why don't you go home and farm instead of cultivating? Shuri Feng said with a smile. Shuri Feng, what are you getting out of this? Our school's Ling Feng has even surpassed his level to defeat a teacher. If he were to go on stage, he would definitely be able to take care of you, someone said. When the others heard this, they immediately agreed. That's right, even if Su Ranran wasn't here, there was still Ling Feng. Although everyone was shouting Ling Feng's name, they knew that Ling Feng was only an A. rank. How could he defeat an SS rank? The clamoring coming from inside lacked some confidence. However, Shuri Feng was in extremely high spirits. He had finally heard the name he wanted to hear. To be able to beat a teacher, he must be someone. But why isn't he on stage? Does he not dare, or is he afraid? You guys are praising him so much. Get him to fight with me. Below the stage, Shuri Feng's underlings also immediately echoed, I heard that Ling Feng is only an A. rank. I'm afraid he can't even take a single palm from Big Brother. He might even die. That's right. You can't even take one palm. What are you doing here? Are you going to die? I bet 100 yuan that Ling Feng won't dare to go up the stage. Ha ha ha. The mockery was unbridled, and everyone was furious when they heard it. The A. ranked Ling Feng against the SS ranked Shuri Feng, it was obvious they had no chance of winning. Just like what those underlings said, it was very likely that he wouldn't be able to take a single blow and might even lose his life. Was that why Ling Feng didn't dare to go up the stage? Everyone knew the difference between them and Shuri Feng. No matter how unwilling they were, they did not dare to ask Ling Feng to go up the stage. If he were to be killed by Shuri Feng after going up, they would be harming their classmates. No one spoke again and began to endure silently, not wanting to let their classmates take the risk. Ling Feng, who was sitting in a corner watching this scene, sneered. Although he knew that Shuri Feng was trying to goad him into action, and he didn't want to fall for it, Ling Feng still felt a little displeased to be ridiculed and looked down upon by Shuri Feng and his little brother. He stood up and strode forward. A clone. There was a slight breeze, and the temperature suddenly dropped. Thump. 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 About 100 meters away, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. White light blinded the entire place. Everyone was stunned, and their attention was drawn over. What's that? There's so much white light. It doesn't look like lightning. That's right. It's not lightning, but the fluctuation of an ability. There's someone over there releasing an ability. Could it be Su Ranran? Su Ranran came. I knew it. At this critical moment, Su Ranran would definitely step forward bravely. My goddess is finally here. No. That wasn't Su Ranran. It seems like there are two people. Two people. Why do they look so similar? What's going on? They look the same. The white light dissipated, and the 100 clones scattered in the surroundings. Everyone was shocked. Ling Feng's talent is cloning. There's actually so many. He's too strong. There are at least dozens scattered in all directions. It seems like it has improved again. It seems that he has appeared at this time to teach Shurifeng a lesson. Ling Feng stepped onto the stage under everyone's surprised gazes. His eyes were as calm as water as he looked at Shurifeng. Since my name has been called, how can I not accept the challenge? Ling Feng's relaxed tone showed that he didn't take the other party seriously at all, and there was no respect at all. His reaction caused the arrogant Shurifeng to reveal an expression of displeasure. A mere A. rank dared to stand out. It seemed he was really looking for death. The reason why yours truly is working so hard today is to kill you without anyone knowing and without being suspected. Otherwise, there's no need for me to do this. However, since you're in such a hurry to die. Fine, this young master will grant you your wish. See if I don't poke your bones and scatter your ashes. I heard that you're only an A. rank. If an A. rank dares to challenge an SS rank, is there really no one else in the 3 high schools? Kid, if you accidentally die in my hands, don't blame me. Ling Feng laughed. Then you can rest be assured. I bought a huge amount of insurance. I won't lose anything even if I die. But do you have insurance? If not, I'll recommend an insurance company to you. It has good business and friendly service, so you'll definitely need it. Shurifeng's anger soared to the sky when he heard this. Good brat, you're shamelessly boasting. No wonder someone wants your life. It's probably just that trouble comes from the mouth. Hee hee. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Let's just start fighting. He was very happy that someone could provoke him so arrogantly. When it was time to make a move, he would not hold back either. Yes, hurry up and fight. After I'm done, I still have to go home and wake senior brother up. The corner of Shurifeng's mouth twitched. Wake senior brother up. Go to hell. Good kid, if I don't kill you today, my surname isn't Shur. Shurifeng's anger had reached its peak, and his heart was also in a mess. Ling Feng achieved his goal, and the corner of his mouth rose. Panicking. Very good. Ling Feng took a step back, and just as Shurifeng was at a loss, Ling Feng opened his mouth. Brothers, let's move. Show no mercy. Chapter 50. 50 Cross, Level Contest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 50 Cross, Level Contest. Ling Feng had just finished speaking when the crowd began to stir. The clones scattered in the crowd all walked towards the platform. Over 100 clones surrounded the Dao platform. They were all Ling Feng's faces, but the atmosphere was very strange, and the aura was extraordinary. There were too many clones. The audience sighed. Heavens, there are probably more than 100 of these. Isn't there a maximum of 5 B. rank? What's wrong with him? What level is he now? Could it be that he's already an S? How is that possible? He just transformed. There's no way he's going through a second transformation. It was impossible for one's talent to transform continuously, and it was rare to see one. In addition, under normal circumstances, it would take more than 10 years or even decades for another transformation. Out of all the people they had seen, the first one who had transformed was Ling Feng. Everyone had different guesses about Ling Feng's strengths. Some thought he was an A. rank, while others thought it might be due to a mutation of his talent, which explained the sudden increase in his clone's strength. However, at the same time, the clone's strength would have definitely weakened. There were also some who felt that even if they were S. rank, they would still be unable to defeat the SS rank Shurifang. In any case, some people thought it would work, while others thought it would not. However, basically, everyone felt that it was still too early for him to beat Shurifang. No one advised him to quit because they hoped that he could hold on a little longer and regain the face he lost in his third year. Presently, in the principal's office. The principal was dumbfounded when he saw so many clones. Secretary Qian felt that Ling Feng was an unfathomable person and was very curious. Could Ling Feng have really transformed again? Secretary Qian said in a low voice. When the principal heard this, he said, "How is that possible? What transformation? I think it's just a mutation. It's true that there are many tricks to be able to create so many clones in just a month, but their combat power has been divided into so many. What's the point of fighting? They're just flashy and inferior." The principal didn't think that Ling Feng had the ability to do so. Just based on the fact that Ling Feng had humiliated him before, he looked down on him. If he believed Ling Feng, wouldn't that be admitting that he couldn't see through a pearl? As soon as he finished speaking, the principal's face was slapped. On the Dao platform. Under Ling Feng's command, the clones were divided into 10 groups. Each group had a leader, and the 10 groups of clones came from all directions to beat Shurifang up. Shurifang was shocked. Although there were many of them, they were most likely just minions. With so many clones, they were like ants that could be crushed with a single pinch. Thus, Shurifang did not even put them in his eyes. "Let me crush you to death." However, in the next second, he felt as if he had been electrocuted, and his fist felt like it was going to split open. F***CK. It hurts. The one that met his fist was the first clone. The first clone had 200% of Ling Feng's combat power, which was around tier 4. The power of this punch was enough to collapse mountains and crack the earth. Shurifang was only at tier 3, so it was normal for him to be knocked back by a single punch. He retracted his hand, not daring to underestimate the other party. "Looking at the numbers, I thought they were here to show off. I didn't expect them to have something. Alright, then, I'll be serious." Suddenly, golden light shot out in all directions. The earth elements formed an armor that covered his entire body. It was a full 2 meters tall. The great sword in his hand shone with a cold sword light. "My armor and stone sword are indestructible. Take this." He raised his sword and slashed at the clone. Even with the help of gravity, the experienced clones could still dodge the attack. Suddenly, the second clone attacked from behind. Thump. The 10 balls of fire gathered into a single large fireball, and it shot toward Shurifang. He actually launched a sneak attack. How despicable. Shurifang cursed. The second clone did not dodge at all and faced the attack head-on. Ling Feng read his helpless evaluation, the clones are treating Shurifang as prey. They're actually so cautious. Bish. Each of the 10 clones threw a punch at Shurifang's heart, and his armor instantly shattered into pieces. He turned pale with fright. How could this force be so strong? Why? It was just a clone, but it was actually able to fight him to a standstill. If Ling Feng personally took action, what would happen? Could it be that Ling Feng wasn't an A. rank? No, don't scare yourself. He's only an A. rank. What was there to be afraid of? Shurifang once again condensed his armor and used his innate ability to recover his battle strength and heal his injuries quickly. After all, as an SS rank son of the earth, he could gain strength by touching the earth and recover quickly. Ling Feng was stunned. Awesome, your vitality is actually as magical as a cockroach's. Clones, let him see your true strength. The avatars all rushed forward. There were a total of 100 avatars ganging up on a single person. The scene was truly shocking. The strength of each clone was above Shurifang's. He would find it difficult to deal with even one, let alone so many. Just defending was already very difficult for him, let alone counterattacking. Ling Feng shook his head. How disappointing. How weak. I thought I could play for a little longer. Before the fight, he thought that he would be able to have a good time, but he didn't expect it to be so boring. Forget it. I'm done. Arm of the mountain, open. Ling Feng chanted. Hiss. The golden light covered his right arm, and it became as hard as a rock, 2 meters long. Suddenly, the strength of his arm increased explosively, and the clone threw a punch at Shuri Feng. Thump. With a loud explosion, the training hall was split open. A critical hit struck Shuri Feng, and his armor was completely shattered. A hole was also blasted into the ground. Clone number 1 raised its right arm, grabbed Shuri Feng's neck, and lifted him up. After leaving the ground, Shuri Feng seemed to have wilted. Ling Feng walked out. There was a commotion below the stage. No one dared to believe it. Oh my God, Ling Feng won. Ling Feng had defeated Shuri Feng. Is Ling Feng that powerful? Awesome, awesome, he's a Prince Charming. Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded. They never thought that Ling Feng didn't even make a move and that it was his clone that was fighting Shuri Feng. Even so, Shuri Feng did not have the power to fight back. It didn't seem like he was beating up an SS rank, but an ordinary person. It was unbelievable. After seeing Ling Feng's strength, Li Tian was shocked. Previously, he also wanted to recruit Ling Feng. Ling Feng's current growth and transformation were simply too great. However, he was still the same as before. He was not well liked and pursued his family. No one could see his talent. He passed his days in a daze without light at the end of the tunnel. Feng Xiaoyu also looked up at Ling Feng. After not seeing him for more than 10 days, she always remembered that Ling Feng had helped her. It was a pity that her sister's leg had been delayed and could no longer be treated. However, she was still very grateful to Ling Feng. Now that gratitude and worship were intertwined, she was quite excited. On the other side, the principal was also stunned. He silently smoked a cigarette and let out a long sigh. I'm really old. I'm getting old. Secretary Qian smiled awkwardly and thought to himself, Principal, you're not old. You're just aged and muddle-headed. A talent like Ling Feng, you only realized it now. Principal, what are you saying? How are you old? You just haven't realized that kid's true strength. The principal immediately smiled. You're right. Let's go and see that kid. Hee, the principal really did what he thought. Secretary Qian was speechless. On the other side, Li Feng was dumbfounded. Young Master Li was also dumbfounded. This Ling Feng. What's up with him? How could he beat an SS rank? He was only an A. rank. He must have cheated, or it would have been impossible. Right. What's going on? The two of them were like fools, not daring to imagine. This Ling Feng. What's up with him? How could he beat an SS rank? He was only an A. rank. He must have cheated, or it would have been impossible. Right. He must have cheated.